Dear students, in the previous session I taught you about the subsets of a set. That is, how do you define a subset? Let us consider two sets A and B, non-empty sets of course. If all the elements of A are present in the other set B, then we say A is a subset of B, and the notation you have learned, it is if A and B are like that, it is if A is a subset, this is the notation we write. Now, suppose A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A, then we say that A and B are equal sets. I mean they contain the same elements here. The next is a proper subset. I had mentioned about that one. Proper subset means if A is a subset of B and A is not equal to B. In other words, if there is at least one element in B which is not in A, we call it as a proper subset. And then we have learnt how to find the subsets of that one. For each and every set, whatever may be the number of elements here, the set itself and the null set, they are always the subsets of that one, which we sometimes call them as trivial subsets. And these are the things we did in the previous session. Now in today's session, I am going to teach you about a new topic here. See, usually numbers, in your high school classes you have learned, the numbers can be represented on a number line. We call it as a number line because whatever may be the real number, it could be expressed on that one. Similarly, a set can also be represented by means of a diagram. Now it is given by a mathematician, John Venn. So the diagram, we call it as Venn's diagram. Venn diagram. It is called as Venn diagram. Now Venn diagram is how to represent here. Now we use generally, I am telling you, we use the rectangle to denote a universal set, and the subsets or the sets inside the universal set would be represented with the help of a circle. So a set can be represented with the help of a diagram which is known as a Venn diagram. Now a universal set is represented with the help of a rectangle, and the subsets of the universal set, they are represented with the help of circles. Now let me take an example, that is U is the set containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mentioned about the universal set in the previous session. What do you mean by universal set? We cannot have a universal set U for all the problems. It depends upon what type of quantities, what type of elements, what type of objects we are considering here. So depending upon the type of things that we are considering here, the biggest among them, we call it as a universal set. Suppose you are considering numbers, we take the set of real numbers. Or if you consider, I think same example I had given, when you consider the population, we take the population of the whole world as the universal set. Students of the whole world will become the universal set when you are discussing about the students or animals. Whatever may be the element that we are considering, the biggest among them will become the universal set. So in the working out the problems, usually the universal set would be given here. So let me take the universal set for this example as the numbers containing 1 to 9, that is the natural numbers 1 to 9. Now let me take the set A containing say some 3 elements, say 2, 4, 8. You observe that the set A is a subset of U, that is A is a subset of U because all the elements of A are present in U. Now just now I told you the universal set is usually denoted with the help of a rectangle, and any other subset will be represented with the help of a circle. So how do you write this one? First let me write a rectangle. Because in some problem they may ask you, after doing the calculation, represent with the help of Venn diagram. So here this is the universal set. Universal set means all these numbers must be present in the rectangle. Now the set A 2, 4, 8 containing 2, 4, 8 is a subset of U. Therefore inside that you write a circle like this. Generally we write with the help of a circle. What are all the elements of A? You write inside the circle. There is no rule that you have to write 2 there like that, anywhere inside this one. Now this is A. So this is the set A, which is a subset of U, and A has been denoted with the help of a circle, and U has been denoted or represented with the help of a rectangle. Now apart from 2, 4, 8, there are some more elements here. The other elements, no, write outside. Now 1, 2 is there, don't write again. Then 3, anywhere you can write, there is no rigidity here. And then 4 is there, so 5, then 6, 7, 9. Altogether all the numbers should be there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if the particular set is containing a few elements, no, they have to be written inside the circle which we have denoted as A. The remaining elements, so anywhere inside the rectangle you can write. There is no rule that you have to write 1 year. You can write 1 year, 6 year, 5 there, anywhere. But this is how we represent, because it's only a collection, as you know. Whenever I say it is a set, no, set is always a collection. So order is not important. Here also I can start with the 9. I can write 1 in between like that, because it is only a collection here. Now this is how we represent with the help of a Venn diagram. Now let me take another universal set, say containing some more elements, say 1 to 12. Let me take the set A containing 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Let me take another subset. It is 2, 4, 6 and 12. A is containing some elements, B is containing some elements. Observe, all these elements are present in the universal set. What you can say? A is a subset of U and B is also a subset of U. Correct? This is the universal set. A is a part of U, B is a part of U. How do you write that? With the help of a Venn diagram. Now let me write here, as usual, the rectangle. So write it as U. Now there are two sets here. In the previous example, I have taken only one subset. There are two subsets here. First denote the first one as A, the second one as B. Let me write those elements which are in A inside the circle named as A. 1, 3, 5, 7. The other one 2, 4, 6, 12. So 8 elements I have written already. And there is no common element as such in this one. And how many elements were present? 12 elements were present. 4 and 4, 8 I have written. What are the remaining elements? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are already there. What is the other element? 8 is there. You need not write comma also. Then write 9 and then 8, 9, 10 you can write and 11. So these are the remaining elements. So altogether 12 elements, 4 here, 4 there, remaining 4. I can write 8 here, I can write 10 there, anywhere inside the rectangle you have to write. Now this is how we represent the set here. So sometimes in the problem, sometimes they ask you after doing some operation, after working out the problems, no, they may ask you represent them with the help of a Venn diagram. In that case, no, you have to write it like this. So a set can be represented with the help of a diagram called as a Venn diagram, and the universal set is represented with the help of a rectangle, and all its subsets would be inside the rectangle. With the help of a circle we denote them. So in the coming session, next session, I am going to teach you the operations on sets. Like in the numbers we add, subtract, multiply, divide, the fundamental operation. Similarly on sets also we can do a special type of operation which I am taking up in the next session. Thank you. Good morning students. I wrote in the previous session, I will be starting the operation on sets here. Now because set is a collection here, we cannot do the ordinary addition multiplication like that on sets here. So there has to be some method to combine them. So we are working out, we are learning some operations which can be done only on sets here. So that is the topic for today's session. It is operations on sets. Operations on sets. Now there are three operations. One by one we are going to learn. Now First one is called as union of sets. Union of sets. Now the word union itself says that we are simply combining them. Something like that, addition we can say, but don't consider this as an addition here. I'm generally, just to understand this, I'm telling, that's all. Union, the word itself says that union of sets means we'll be having all the elements, we'll be combining the elements. What do you mean by that one? Let me take two sets here. Let A and B be any two sets here. Then the union of A and B, we denote it as like this. Don't write here, not U. Here, simply write that it should look like U only. Don't write that one. So then it becomes the letter U here. It is union of two sets A and B, denoted by A union B, is a set which contains all the elements of A and all the elements of B. That's why we call it as union. So union of two sets A and B, this is the notation for the union. It is a set, it's a set means it is again another collection containing all the elements of A and all the elements of B. So how do you write that one? A union B is a set, I am writing in the set builder form. It contains all X such that X belongs to A or X belongs to B. See, I am using the word or here because X can be either in A or in B. If it is in only in A, then also we write. If it is both A and B also, we write that one. So the element should be present either in the first set or in the second set. Then we write all of them. Let me take an example. Take the set A containing 2, 4, 6. Take another set B containing 1, 2, 3, 4. This is containing 3 elements, that is containing 4 elements. Now A union B. For a 1 mark, they can ask you find union. A union B is a set. I am writing in the roster form that I have written in the set builder form. Look here, you have to write all the elements here. Here, of course, I want to present it in a neat way. Start with a smaller element, or you can write 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 together. Now, you observe one thing. 2 and 4 are present here and there, both the sets. That doesn't mean that you have to write them twice, not necessary. If an element is present in both the sets, no, instead of writing 2 times, no, it is enough if you write only once here. So let me write 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. See, 6 is present only in A, and 1 and 3 they are present only in B. Whereas 2 and 4 they are present in first set as well as in the second set. That doesn't mean that you have to write 2 times, not necessary. So write, if the elements are repeated, you have to write only once. There is no need to write 2 times here. So it is containing, how many elements? 3 were there, 4 were there. Because some 2 elements were repeated, we are having a set. You can observe it is again containing the number, it is another set here. So union of 2 sets is a set containing all the elements of both the sets A and B. So this is the first operation you can do on the set. Now, next problem is, you can take any number of examples here. Let me take another example. Set A containing, say, some letters A, B, C. Set B containing E, F, G. You observe here, we don't have any common element at all. Still, A union B. How do you write? First you write the elements of A, B, C. Write the elements of B, that is E, F, G. See, in the previous example, we had some repeated elements. So I told you there is no need to write it. That is right. all the elements 2 times. If it is enough to write only once. Whereas in this set, no, we don't have any number repeated, any element repeated. Therefore, write all of them only once here. So that contains 3, this contains 3. Altogether, there would be 6 elements in the union. I am taking different types of example so that the idea becomes clear. Now, let me take one more example. Suppose A contains 1 and 2, B contains 1, 2 and 3. B contains 1, 2 and 3. You observe here 1 and 2 are present in A as well as in B. So, what would be A union B here? It is 1, 2, 3. Union means you write all the elements belonging to both the sets. And what is this one? It is nothing but the set B itself, isn't it? Why it has happened is, you observe A is a subset of B itself. A is already present in that one. When you take the union, we will be getting the bigger set. Automatically we are getting the bigger set. So that can be denoted as B here. So if A is a subset of B, A union B will be equal to B itself. Or if B is a subset of A, then A union B will be equal to A. Now these are the different types of examples with the help of which we can find the union. Suppose you want to suppose they ask you, find the union and then represent with the help of a Venn diagram. How do you write that one? Now, as usual, we consider the rectangle that denotes a universal set. Now, let me take A and B here. Let me assume that both A and B, they do not have any common element. Like the second example I took, A, B, C, E, F, G. So it contains A, B, C, this contains E, F, G. That means that there is no common element. What do you mean by A union B? It contains all the elements present in both the sets. So what I do is, we have to shade it. We have to shade that one, both of them. Now, this shaded portion, the shaded portion here, this denotes the union of that one. There may be common elements, may not be common elements. If there is no common element, write them separately, shade both the sets. Then only we can consider that as the shaded portion always gives you the union of the two sets. Suppose, let us consider another example where we may have some common elements. We may have some common elements. Let me take A, let me take B here. Common element means they would be intersecting with each other. This is the set A, this is the set B. Even then, we have to shade the entire portion. So, union means both the sets A and B have to be shaded. Of course, this in between line would be there. So, this is how we have to write. Whether they have a common element or they do not have common, here they do not have common element, there they are having common element. Whatever may be the condition there, you have to shade both the sets A and B. That always gives you the union of two sets so that we can represent them with the help of a diagram or geometrically. Geometrically we can represent like this the union of the two sets. The second operation is known as the intersection of sets. The first one is known as the union of two sets. The second one is known as the intersection of two sets here. Here again, I am considering two sets, say A and B. What in the intersection is, in this case, we take the elements which are common to both A and B. I am using the word common. It has to be present in A as well as in B. In the case of union, it can be either in A or in B. If it is present in any one of the sets, no, it comes inside the union. Whereas here, it has to be both in A as well as in B. So, we call them as the common elements here. And the notation is, that is like this. What you have written for union, you write in the reverse order. So, this is known as A intersection B. How do you write in the set builder form? It contains all x such that x belongs to A and we write X belongs to B. Understand here, there I had used the word R. X belongs to A or X belongs to B. R means it is union. It can be present either in A or in B. Whereas here it has to be present in A as well as in B. Then only we consider that as the intersection. Okay. So A intersection B is a set containing all X such that X belongs to A and X belongs to B. How do you read this one? A intersection B. Other one, A union B. The reading is A union B, A intersection B. The notation union means you write and intersection means the reverse of that one. So this is the notation. Now let me take an example here. Let me take an example. Set A contains 1, 3, 5, 7. Set B contains say 5, 7, 10. Okay. Set A is containing 4 elements 1, 3, 5 and 7. Set B is containing 3 elements 5, 7 as well as 10. Now I am asking you to find the intersection of the two sets. What is the definition? It should contain the common elements, the elements which are present in both of them. Now look here, 1 is present only here, not there. 3 is present, so I cannot take. Look at 5 and 7. They are present in A, they are present in B. So looking at the sets now, you can write the elements. It is 5, 7. So don't take 10 because it is present only in B. Here it should be present in A, it should be present in B. That is, X should belong to A, X should belong to B. So these are the only two elements now which are present in both the sets. That what we call as the common elements here. So this is how we represent the, we find the intersection of the two sets. Now suppose we are having a set like this. Take the same example by making some change here. It is 3, 5. Look here, A is containing 1, 3, 5, 7. B is containing 3 and 5. What can be the common elements here? Common elements are 3 and 5, isn't it? 3 and 5, they are present in B. They are also present in A. Now, it is A intersection B is containing the two elements 3 and 5. But look here, that set B is also a subset of A. So I can write it as B also, isn't it? In the previous operation, union I had told if A is a subset of B, A union B will be equal to B. Here you can see B is a subset of A, so A intersection B, the common element would be the set B itself. Now take one more example. Take one more example. Look here, A 1, 3, 4, 7, it contains 4 elements, B is containing 3 elements 2, 6, 9. Now suppose I ask you to find A intersection B. What's the definition of A intersection B? There should be some elements which are common, isn't it? The elements should be common. We pick only those elements which are present in A as well as in B. Look here, is there any common element here? This is containing 4 elements, that is containing 3 elements, but we don't have any element which is present both in A and B. So there is nothing means, what do you mean by that one? It is a null set. Don't write 0 there, then it becomes an element here. So it is not containing any element means it becomes a null set. That means that these two, they don't have any connection at all in between. Now in such cases, when the intersection of two sets becomes a null set, in other words, if there is no element common to both the sets, now we call them as disjoint sets. We call them as disjoint. Disjoint means they are not joined, they are not connected. That's the meaning of that one. So if the intersection of any two elements is a null set, it becomes a null set, it does not contain any element, then we call those sets as disjoint sets. That means they do not have any common element. That is the meaning of that one. Now let me represent with the help of a diagram, the Venn diagram as usual. Now Suppose I'll take an example that would be better. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let B contain 2, 4, 5. Okay. Now this is the universal set I am having. Let me consider the universal set to be containing 1 to 10. Let us assume. Now A is a subset here and B is a subset. By looking at the set, I can say there are two common elements, 2 and 4. That means that the sets should be written in such a way that they are intersecting with each other. They should cut each other. Okay. So let me take it as A, let me take it as B. Look at the sets here. A is having 1, 2, 3, 4, B is having 2, 4, 5. 2 and 4, they are present in both the sets. So you have to write those elements 2 and 4 in the common portion. This portion here in between, it is present in A, it is present in B. So when representing geometrically, you have to draw the two circles. If there are common elements, you have to draw the two circles, two intersecting circles. And in this portion, which is common to both of them, you have to write the common elements. Now, the set A contains, apart from 2 and 4, it contains 1 and 3, right in that portion. And here it contains B. So this portion, the shaded portion this is A intersection B. So union means we shade both the sets A and B. Here only the common portion has to be shaded. Then that is known as the shaded portion. It's called as A intersection B. This is how we can represent them with the help of a diagram. Suppose the set is like this. Look here. A is containing 1, 2, 3, 4. B is containing 5, 6, 7. Correct? Is there any common element? There is no common element. That means that A intersection B doesn't contain any element. What do you call them? They are called as the disjoint sets. So write A here, write B separately, because they are not at all intersecting with each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that clearly shows that A intersection B in this case is a null set. Or you can use the empty brackets, or you can use the notation phi. Now this is the way we have to represent the intersection with the help of the diagram. Now these operations, union and intersection, they satisfy certain properties. So the 1 mark question, when two sets are given, you will be asked to find out either A union B or A intersection B. Now there are some properties which union and intersection, these operations will be satisfying. Let me mention those properties. First property is A union B equal to B union A, and A intersection B will be equal to B intersection A. You might be familiar with this property. That is in addition we have usually it is taught in the lower classes. A plus B equal to B plus A, like that. That means that when A into B equal to B into A, that is when two numbers are added in whatever order, the sum would be same. When two numbers are multiplied in whatever order, the product is same. Similarly, it is A union B or B union A, they are equal. Similarly, intersection, we call it as commutative law. Okay, it is commutative law or the commutative property. That is, in whatever order you consider, they would be same. You can take the set A to B or B to A. This is the first one. The second one is, suppose there are three sets here, A union B union C. Observe here, we are having three sets on both the sides here. First I have combined B and C. I have taken the union, then I have taken the union with A. Here A and B have been combined together, then with the C. Now, and both ways, here also, in whatever order three sets have been taken with the union operation. Or same thing holds good in the case of the intersection also. It is A intersection B intersection C. Now both of them, they are known as the associative laws. They are known as the associative laws or associative law. That is, for commutativity, we take only two sets here, whether intersection or union, in whatever order we write, the result would be same. That is the meaning. When you are having three sets here, in whatever order you take the union or the intersection, it would be same. So we call it as an associative law. Now, suppose you take A union with phi. That is, two sets would be taken. Suppose the second set is a null set, it doesn't contain any element. Then what is a union? Union would be A only. Suppose first set is containing 1, 2. Second set B is not containing anything. When you are taking union means, take the elements of A and also B, automatically it becomes a original set A only. So A union phi will be equal to A. Similarly, suppose I take the intersection. What do you mean by intersection? The common elements. For null set, as you know, doesn't contain any element. What do you mean by the common element? Common element becomes a null set. There is nothing in that one. So this is called as law of identity. A union phi is A. A intersection phi is phi itself. So this is called as the identity law. We call it as the identity law. Similarly, suppose you consider the universal set. A union universal set. Now, in that case, because you are considering, it becomes a universal set, because when A is a part of U, when you take the union, no, we get back the union, that is universal set only. Therefore, A union U, universal set, would be U itself. Similarly, suppose you take the intersection of A and the universal set, it would be A, because as you know, A is a part of. I gave an example already. If A was a subset of B, then A union B would be B. If B is a subset of A intersection B would be equal to B. I took a numerical example also in the earlier when I discussed about the union intersection. Here I am taking the same thing with the help of the universal set. Now this is called as law of the universal or law of U we write. Now one more thing. Suppose you take the union of A with itself. A union A. What would be that one? It is A only, isn't it? A contains 3 elements. Take again A, it contains 3 elements. You need not write 2 times, I have told you. The elements are repeated. So A union A would be A itself. Similarly, A intersection A, that would be again A. So when you take the union or the intersection of a set with itself, we get back the original set, the same set. We call this law as idempotent law. It is called as idempotent law. Idempotent law. Now one more law here. A union B intersection C is A union B intersection A union C. This is one thing. Second one, A intersection B union C would be A intersection B union A intersection C. Now these two are called as distributive law. See, you have learnt about this in high school algebra, like A into B plus C is AB plus AC. I hope you remember. Here multiplication is one operation, addition is the other operation. So adding and then multiplying is as good as writing the sum of the two products here. So for distributive law, there have to be two operations. Here we are having union intersection. First I have taken the intersection, then I have taken the union with this one. So A union B intersection C is A union B with the first one. Write the middle sign here, intersection A union C. Here they are reversed. A intersection B union C. First A intersection B, first one, union A intersection C. So these two are known as the distributive law. So while problems, they may give you 3 sets here. Show that or prove the distributive property. Usually they give the property itself. They ask you to show that A intersection B union C will be equal to that one, or they may ask you prove the associative law or prove the commutativity of this one. So these are the important properties of the union and the intersection. There is one more operation which I will be taking up in the next session. Thank you.